Hello pumpkins! If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please do subscribe as it really does help with my algorithm. Every Wednesday we do a celebrity or pop culture tarot reading. Now this reading, I have been waiting to do it. I wanted to make sure that I was absolutely doing a reading on an adult and not on a minor, and the reading this week is on Natalia Barnett. Natalia Barnett was the person who was adopted into the Barnett family, then was accused of being an adult, and their birth certificate was changed, the year of their birth, to make them seem as an adult. Then, even though this person had dwarfism and couldn't reach the countertops, was left in an apartment while the family moved to Canada. When I first saw this case, I was absolutely sure that she was an adult, and I was buying into this scandalous gossip story. It's kind of like the movie The Orphan, but the Orphan movie came out before this case really hit the media. So that's what I'm going to ask today. Is Natalia Barnett an adult or a child? Now, according to her, she was born on September 4th in 2003. So that would have made her 18 this coming weekend. According to the Barnett family, she's now 34. So we're going to look. The deck I am using today is the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Kranz. It is a gorgeous deck. I will leave, I know we got some glare from the ring light. It is a gorgeous deck. I will leave a link to it below. So the cards I have for Natalia Barnett, this is actually very telling. I have the Ten of Cups as the significator card, so that's the card representing Natalia. The Crossroads card, so the card that mucks everything up, we have the Seven of Wands. Foundation card, the root of the problem. We have the Father or the King of Wands. Past, Two of Swords. Present, Two of Pence. Future, we have the Sun or the Knight of Cups. How she sees herself, the Tower. How others see her, Justice. Hopes and fears, the Devil. And the outcome card, which is incredibly telling, we have the Six of Cups. So, first thing I do is an overview of the cards, and what I can see off the bat is that they are all upright. So, reverse cards aren't necessarily bad. Not everyone reads reverse cards. I do. But when they are all upright, that means that this is a clear path, this is a clear answer, there's not a lot of guessing in this. We have 3 major arcana cards, which is about average, about what I expect to see in a reading, 2 to 3. We have 1, 2, 3 cups, which are all about emotions and spirituality. We have 2 wands, which are about action and passion. We have 1 sword, and we have 1 pen. We have 2 court cards. Court cards tend to represent other people. Okay, so what does all this mean? Our significator card, the card representing Natalia. This is the 10 of Cups. This is a card about a happy family. This is all Natalia has ever wanted, is to have this family unit. And she has been taken in by another family since she was abandoned by the Barnetts. That looks to be working really well for her. So I think that she does have a good support system, a good environment. I don't know if she'll be moving out on her own now that she's aged out of the system at 18. She certainly has a lot of challenges, especially with her disabilities and being a little person. The Crossroads card, got the Seven of Wands here. So this is often about standing up to bullies and standing up for herself, and she's really had to advocate for herself. Looking at the cards here, and we will get into them, this does look like she is a child, and there is some evidence to support that as well. For instance, here's a picture of her at the age she was adopted, at age 6. And here is her as a 16-year-old adult on the Dr. Phil show. I couldn't find an image of her smiling. Doesn't surprise me that she'd not want to smile very much, that she's probably dealing with a lot of trauma. So you can see, though, with her jaw that she has adult teeth in there. So at 6 years old, she had teeth falling out, and as an adult, they grew back in. They have also located a woman who claimed to be Natalia's birth mother, who gave birth to a baby girl who had dwarfism in Ukraine on September 4th, 2003, and the next day gave the baby up for adoption. That woman, through DNA tests, has been proven to be Natalia's birth mother. So we do know, unless this woman gave birth 20 years earlier, 15 years earlier, and there's no record of it, that this is Natalia. The foundation card. We have the Father of Wands. So this often comes up with a man who's charismatic, a man who is rather powerful, and I think that he threw his weight around a lot when it came to re-aging Natalia. He didn't like her. That's what it comes down to. The foundation of the issue is that he didn't like this little girl. They had 3 children of their own. They had 3 boys biologically, then decided to adopt this little girl, and then didn't like her and abandoned her in an apartment and tried to find a legal reason for it. Micah Stauffer at least found a new home for her son. They didn't just leave him in an apartment with a disability. The Barnetts, in my opinion, are way, way worse than the Stauffers. The past card, we've got the 2 of Swords. So I see this when there's conflict, when there's 2 people fighting, when there's 2 people who should be making a truce and are not. So there was a lot of fighting. It looks like, I think there was fighting between the parents in the beginning. I think there was fighting between the siblings. And of course, as we're looking at the foundation, there was conflict between Natalia and Michael Barnett. Present, we have the 2 of Pence. Now, I like this card here in the present sense. This to me says that Natalia is thriving and she is balancing mental health abilities with the other issues that she has in her life. She's going to have school, she's going to have friends, all these other things going on. So I think that she is, despite this happening to her, doing incredibly well, and I think that we need to recognize. Future, we have the Sun or the Knight of Cups. This card can come up sometimes as a romantic card, but I think also comes up in terms of a caregiver card. So I think that Natalia is going to choose to become a caregiver to others to have that bond that she didn't have. There's this thing called attachment theory, and attachment theory is kind of based on the idea that there's a sensitive time in the brain when a child needs to bond with a primary caregiver. And if a child is removed from a mother, then certainly other caregivers during this sensitive time can also be a part of the bond system. So Natalia was put up for adoption the day after she was born. We know that there was another family of dwarves who were going to take her in. They had the same diagnosis of dwarfism, so they understood. They really cared about her. It was kind of like a trial foster situation. I don't know too much about the foster care system and the adoption system, so Amanda Pants would be the one to talk to about that. But that fell through, and I think it was partly because they didn't think that 2 disabled people could care for another disabled person. I think that many little people do just fine in life, as we see with the roll-offs and whatnot. So what happened between her being put up for adoption in Ukraine and her having this foster situation with these other parents and then being removed from that situation and being placed with the Barnetts when she was 6? There's a lot of sensitive time there that was not utilized. So Mike Barnett says that she ran into the room first time she met them and was screaming, "Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy." And they're like, whoa, that's weird. But this kid is desperate for love. This kid is desperate for a bond. There is something called reactive attachment disorder, which happens when a child doesn't get to bond with a caregiver during that sensitive time. That is actually something that I have been diagnosed with. It is far more common in Eastern Europe, where you have a lot of these orphanage situations. It is far less common in North America, which we see in the Tower card here, this being trauma. And when a kid has this reactive attachment disorder, they can sometimes act out. There can sometimes be this push-pull between I really, really want my parents to love me, I really, really want anyone to love me, and I don't want to get close to anyone because they're just going to leave me. So she may have come across as being older or wiser because she was mature beyond her years, because she was trying to be good. And that's a lot of pressure for a 6-year-old to be under and then act out and lash out. So I don't think that this was a sociopath trying to do terrible things. I think this is a kid who was hurting. And this hurt is not going to be healed easily and may never be healed. So I think that she is going to try to kind of fill that gap by being a caregiver. She may end up going into a role like a nurse or a teacher for kids with developmental needs. She may end up going into some sort of healthcare role where she is working with and researching kids with the same form of dwarfism. She may end up working in social services where she's helping adopted kids. So there's a lot that could be happening here in terms of her giving back. And I don't think that that's an unhealthy role. I think as long as she's able to keep professional boundaries, that can be okay. But certainly there are different ways that can present. So I think that could be a lot of why she seemed older and why they were willing to write her off as an adult. Next card we have is the Justice card. This is how others see her. And I am aware that Mrs. Barnett is in jail. I don't know if Michael Barnett is in jail. They adopted this kid at 6 years old and then abandoned her in an apartment at 8 years old. So, yeah. Even if she was an adult, the judge said that they couldn't abandon her because of her disability. She couldn't reach the counter and she's having to cook for herself. So these are issues. It's also important to note that kids who experience early trauma can sometimes hit puberty early and can sometimes start showing signs of puberty early. So that could also be a reason why they assumed that she was older than she was. There were some bone scans that were done, and the bone scans were really inconclusive because A, her form of dwarfism, and B, because some of the bones had started to fuse in a way that was with these kids developing early puberty who have been through extreme trauma. There are still people who believe that Natalia is an adult, regardless of the fact that she had her teeth going out at 6 years old. She had her teeth falling out at 6 years old and they grew back. And despite the fact that her biological mother was found who gave birth to her on her birthday, and they want to see justice served, and I think that's really unfair for this kid to go through life. I mean, if she applies for a job, she's 18 now, but yeah, for her to get a summer job is going to be tough. It's really hard, really, really hard, because she didn't ask to be a celebrity. Hopes and fears, the Devil card. I think this has to do with her fears of abandonment, her fears that someone will come into her life and take advantage of her, her fears that she will open up her heart and she will be left. There's a lot of fear going on here. Her fear that everyone is kind of out to get her, her fear that she is unlovable, the fear that she is unworthy. These are all very, very common things for people with reactive attachment disorder to go through. And the outcome card here, this is the one that showed me that she was a child, which I'm surprised didn't come up earlier in the spread. This is the 6 of Cups, which is about childhood and children. So this is saying to me that Natalia Barnett is definitely a child. I think that she was a child. I mean, she's 18 now, but that that children are going to play an important role in her future. Okay, so that is my reading on Natalia Barnett. If you would like to book your own tarot reading, you can do so at the link below, www.carolinironwell.com. I do have a 50% off sale, half off, for teachers and students. Retired teachers are included in this as well for the month of September, so that's my back to school sale. Please do subscribe to this channel. You are welcome to comment below. Be polite about it. My rule is don't be a dick. I hope to see you later, and I hope that you are having a wonderful day. If no one has told you today, I want you to know that I love you, that I care about you, and that I am glad that you are here. Bye, pumpkins.